And we're starting off the list with this photo here. Just look at this happy young couple. They got their arms around each other. They're smiling for the camera. With my keen senses of sight and sharp detective skills, I can also see that they're standing right in front of a tent. And due to the dark background and dirt-like appearance of the ground they're standing on, it appears as if they're outdoors. There also appears to be a fire raging in the bottom left-hand corner. And because the couple are, posing for a picture rather than panicking, I think we got ourselves a good old-fashioned tent and fire party on our hands. A camping trip, perhaps. Everything looks pretty normal until your eyes drift to the left of the couple. Just what in tarnation is that? The short, semi-translucent figure seems to be lurking right behind this unwitting couple. Kind of looks like a ghost doll. Two words that should never be placed beside each other in a sentence. If you're liking our channel, by the way, why not hit that subscribe button? You got nothing to lose. And leave your comments down below. What do you think of these photographs in this list? And at number 9, we have this photo, which I'm just gonna call the mysterious ghoul. Before we get to the scary stuff though, let me use my keen intellect to set the scene here. Don't have a lot of information about these pictures, so I gotta pull from them what I can. All three of these gentlemen are dressed as fancy lads. Nice fitted tuxedos, and they're all smiling at the camera. Pretty obvious to me that these guys were dressed up to hit the cinema to catch the latest Bond movie on opening night. Due to the quality of the picture, I'm gonna guess this is like 2006, so Casino Royale. Nice. They look pretty excited to catch the flick too, but they wouldn't be so excited if they saw the ghoul like crouching between their legs at the bottom of the picture. Like, who invited Reagan from The Exorcist to the 007 dress-up party? What is a ghoul? A small zombie? Nightmare fuel. That's what it is. Anyway, I hope these guys didn't get mauled by this demon as soon as Terry put his $12 disposable Kodak camera back in his pocket to document the rest of the evening. And at number 8, we have the family photo. Old vintage photographs are always a bit unsettling to me. I feel like most of you would probably agree with that. The black and white just makes everything look drab and sad, but I think the main reason why vintage pictures are so off-putting is that everyone in them is probably dead by now. And in this picture, we see a happy family. There are a whole bunch of empty lawn chairs behind them, way more than are necessary for one family. So my guess is that they just had a party, but they may have had one uninvited guest make an appearance in their family picture, lurking in the background to the left, right in front of the door. It doesn't look like it has a body, or maybe it has a body, but it's just shrouded in shadow. Just what is this thing though? Is it a clown, an intruder wearing a kabuki mask? Let us know your thoughts down below, but I don't like it. Next on the list, we have this picture of a lady smiling in bed. She looks glad to be home. Can't blame her, and why would I want to? Nothing wrong with being happy and smiling. But there's a lot of strange stuff going on with this picture. Using my hawk-like eyes, I see she looks to be wearing a Christmas-themed blanket, but the fan pointing directly at her face tells me a different story. It tells me it's hot in that room, so I don't think it's December. Then again, the fan isn't on, so does she just leave the fan perched over her bed all year round collecting dust? Or does it just happen to be off at this present moment and she lives somewhere maybe where it's warm all year round, like California? It's either Christmas in Cali or she just really likes Christmas and wears that blanket all the time. The point is, there's something hiding in this picture. I'll give you a second to figure out what it is. Yeah, right where the corner of the mattress and the back of the bed frame meet, there's an eye poking out from under the bed. Whoever this person is, they're obviously hiding. But the question is, does she know this person is there? Like, maybe is she hiding them? Is it her boyfriend who's not supposed to be there? Or is it an intruder? It's pretty much either one of those situations. At our number 6 spot, we have a photo I'm going to call the tree trunk terror. This is one for all you arachnophobes out there. Yeah, it doesn't take long looking at this picture to realize there's a massive sized spider parked right in the middle of this tree, blending in with the bark. I'm not sure what kind of tree this is. It doesn't look like a particularly big one, but the spider's legs extend out pretty far. I'm guessing this would probably be almost the size of a grown man's hand, which just isn't good. I don't want that in a spider. Imagine walking through the woods at night. You're trying to find your way back to your tent after taking a leak. You're already freaked out because a ghost was spotted in the picture your buddy took of you and your girlfriend in front of the fire. And then you place your hand on a tree only to feel something long and furry squirming around under your hand. It's not a squirrel, a little too skinny to be a squirrel. It's this spider. Your camping career would probably be over in an instant and nobody would blame you. Number 5, newlyweds. Oh no, not another old vintage black and white photograph. So we have a couple who look to have just gotten married. The wife looks mildly pleased. The husband looks like he's doing the 1,000-yard stare. Maybe he's been forced into this arrangement. Anyway, people rarely smile on old photographs though, so maybe they were very happy. Who knows? What really that makes this picture feel extra haunted though is lurking in the background. Take a gander at the window. Clearly you can see a figure peering out. It looks to be a man dressed in a suit and a tie, possibly a wedding guest. There's something off about him. His features are almost entirely blurred. You can't make out eyes, a nose, a mouth, all those things that make a human face comfortable to look at. So is this a deceased family member making a visit from the afterlife to attend this wedding? Or did these folks just not clean their windows like ever? Next we have lurking fear. Now, it's hard for me to really call this a normal photo. Wherever this is, it looks like a pretty creepy place. Completely dilapidated and the lighting is very low. It looks like nighttime. Seems to me we have an abandoned place of some kind on our hands, and abandoned places are inherently unsettling, not to mention kind of dangerous. If it's not an abandoned place, it's just someone's very unkempt apartment. They need to clean every once in a while, keep everything in their place from rotting away. Anyway, it's very hard to spot at first glance with all the mess filling up the frame, but if you look pretty much dead center, you'll see a pair of beady glowing eyes and a pale face peering out from the debris of what used to be a wall. Most likely it's a squatter, but the low camera quality and the dim lighting makes it look a bit like a rake or golem, which is not fun. Next up we have the Pigman. This photo was taken at Fort Warden Artillery Battery, an abandoned artillery base. You could see two people hugging. I don't know about you, but a dark, dank, decrepit concrete passage is not where I'd want to be for an intimate embrace. Anyway, scan your eyes to the top left of the frame, and you can clearly see a figure sandwiched between the ceiling and a concrete structure. It's probably just the sweet early 2000s digital camera quality that's making this person look so messed up, but to me this person looks like a pigman. And the last thing I'd want is to be exploring an abandoned military barracks that are probably haunted already, only to have a deformed pig monster jump down on my head from up in the ceiling somewhere. Ugh. And in second place, we have Chucky. Just look at these cool bros. They look chill. They look cool. They're just a couple bros hanging out, posing for a picture on their sweet 2006 photo booth app. Remember how entertaining photo booth used to be? The amount of embarrassing photo booth pictures there are of me floating around the internet. Anyway, these two aren't the only people captured in this picture. Looks like we got something lurking in the background, and it doesn't look friendly. I joke, but whatever that is at the bottom center of the frame, it's pretty nightmare inducing. It looks kind of like a Chucky doll, or again like Reagan from The Exorcist, neither of which I'd want creeping around in the shadows of my home at night. And finally, we have this photo of a cute cat. Look at this cute cat. It's just having dinner, looking up at the camera, but the glowing eyes of the cat aren't the only glowing eyes in this picture. Just what are those two beady glowing green eyes in the background there? Is it perhaps another cat or maybe a dog? Well, that's highly unlikely because looking closely, this picture was taken from high up. We have stairs leading down to the left and it looks like we're around the same height of those branches in the tree, in the top right of the picture. So whatever those eyes are, they're pretty high up. Maybe it's a giant cat, but that's really scary too. Or most likely, they're big enough to be all the way at ground level and still be seen from high up. So it's something, some kind of creature down there. To me, it kind of looks maybe like alligator eyes, which may not be paranormal, but that is still a pretty terrifying animal to have lurking around in your backyard.
Number 10. The Hartley violin. While this may seem like just a photo of an old violin, the story behind it is incredibly significant. This is because the instrument managed to survive the sinking of the Titanic. We all know the story of the ship that hit the iceberg and sank, so let me tell you the story of Wallace Henry Hartley. Hartley was the band leader on the Titanic, and the violin was an engagement gift from his fiancée before he took off on the journey. He was one of the players who stood on the deck of the ship and played music while it sank, attempting to calm the frightened passengers as they boarded lifeboats. Hartley was found 2 weeks later, clutching the case that was strapped to his body. Inside it was his violin, still in good condition thanks to the case protecting it from the water and cold. It went on to be the most valuable Titanic artifact ever sold, selling at auction for $1.7 million. It is now displayed at a history museum in Branson, Missouri, going on to survive long after it played its final notes on the ship. Number 9. Big Island Hiker. In 2015, Dalen Pua decided to go on a hike in Hawaii. He told his grandmother he was going to be hiking the Stairway to Heaven Trail, which his grandmother warned against as this was a prohibited area. While on his hike, he posted several pictures to social media. Most seemed to be normal, just showing off the view. However, in one photo, you can see a man amongst the trees, following behind Dalen. While a mysterious man in the woods is creepy enough, it gets worse, as Dalen unfortunately never returned from his hike, and to this day, he has never been found. His family studied the pictures closely, trying to find any clues to his whereabouts, and when they spotted the figure, they started to wonder if maybe he had been responsible for Dalen's disappearance. People wonder why this person has not come forward, wondering if it's because he was involved, or he was just scared of being caught hiking on an illegal trail. The search for Dalen consisted of the fire department, local volunteers, drone operators, and even the US Navy, and unfortunately, nothing has ever been found. Number 8. Trails in the Snow. Another hiking photo, this one comes from a mountain in the Karakoram Himalaya. Greatly accomplished mountaineer Kurt Diemberger was accompanied by his friend Herman Buhl. Buhl had been excited about the expedition, wanting to complete the hike in only 3 days. The photo that Diemberger took seems to be normal, a photo of their tracks on the snowy mountain. However, when you look closely, you can see that one of the tracks does not continue, instead falling off the side. This is because Diemberger took this photo after Herman Buhl fell off the side of the mountain. Retreating from a snowstorm, Buhl stepped off to the side, triggering a massive avalanche, and fell almost 900 meters down the slope, never to be seen again. Diemberger notes how in this situation they had not been roped together, which would have been considered a mistake in any other scenario. In this case, however, he says that if they were tied together, that he would have been pulled down, becoming lost in the avalanche with his friend as well. He went on to say that he would never attempt that mountain again, as without Buhl, there is no point. Number 7. Basketball card. By all accounts, this appears to be a regular NBA hoops card, showcasing Mike Jackson from the Knicks. However, if you look at the 2 young men on the left, you will realize that they are actually the Menendez brothers, Eric and Lyle. If you're not familiar, the Menendez brothers were from a wealthy family and were found guilty of killing their parents after they had allegedly mistreated them. The two weren't immediately caught and went on a spending spree and apparently watched a New York Knicks game. That's right, this photo was actually taken after the crime and before they had been arrested. After the discovery of the card, the Daily Mail was actually able to contact Lyle Menendez in San Diego prison, where both brothers are housed. He said, "It's amazing that somebody spotted it," also commenting on the haunting period that took place after the crime and before the arrest, saying that they went to a lot of Knicks games before, so going to one after wouldn't have been that extravagant. The cards are now available on eBay, usually going for about $5 to $10. Number 6. Rodney Alcala. During the 1970s, a famous game show aired called The dating game. The purpose of this show is for one woman to speak to 3 hidden men, asking them questions. By the end of the show, she chooses the one she wants to go on a date with, and after the show, they go. 17-year-old Leanne Leadham appeared on the show with her 3 eligible bachelors, one of which was Rodney Alcala. The show goes fine and nothing seems too out of the ordinary, Rodney even being selected as the man she would go on a date with. What viewers and producers of the show didn't know was that when Rodney was sitting on that chair, he had already committed 4 murders. It's eerie to watch the episode with the hindsight of what had happened. Luckily for Leanne, she changed her mind and never actually went on the date with Rodney, only having a photo shoot together. It makes you wonder just how many other people you've seen on TV or in photos who are actually hiding a terrible secret. Number 5. Autograph. This photo from 1980 isn't all too concerning. It shows John Lennon signing an autograph. The reality of it, however, is that he was signing an autograph for Mark Chapman, the man who merely a few hours later would kill him as he returned home from a recording studio. Chapman had approached Lennon with a fairly rare record, asking Lennon to sign it for him. Lennon then asked, "Is that all?" To which Chapman replied with, "No." Chapman says that at the time this picture was taken, he actually had the weapon in his pocket, but had chickened out of committing the crime at this time. He then went back to Lennon's apartment where he waited for several hours, reading Catcher in the Rye. Finally, as John returned home from the recording studio with tapes under his arms, Chapman shot him. He returned to reading his book until a security guard arrived, the man in tears asking if Mark realized what he had done. Mark was justly sentenced to life in prison. Number 4. Space Crew. In this photo, we see the smiling faces of 7 astronauts posing in zero gravity. Unfortunately, as with most things on this list, this story does not have so happy an ending. That's because this is the crew of the Columbia Space Shuttle. The crew spent 24 hours a day in 2 different shifts doing various different experiments in life sciences, material sciences, fluid physics, and others. Eventually, they were ready to return home to Earth in 2003. However, their re-entry would prove disastrous. On launch, it was discovered that a piece of foam had broken off and left a hole in the left wing. This hole allowed atmospheric gases to get into the ship eventually completely breaking apart. NASA suspended any shuttle flights for at least 2 years as they investigated, and were apparently criticized as the issue with foam that caused the disaster had been previously known by the organization. This led to the retirement of the space shuttle fleet, astronauts now making their way to the International Space Station by means of Russian rockets or the SpaceX Space Taxi service. Number 3. The Oscars. This photo is of Howard Ashman and Alan Menken. It shows the 2 men celebrating as they had just won an Oscar. They had written the lyrics and music for The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin, and in this photo, they were receiving the award for The Little Mermaid. While they seem excited, if you look closely at Howard Ashman on the left, it seems like something is wrong. That night, Ashman told Menken that when they got back to New York, they needed to have a serious talk. 2 days later, they returned and they spoke. Howard told Alan that he had been diagnosed with late-stage AIDS and didn't have much longer to live. Menken says he recalls Ashman saying, "I didn't want to tell you because I didn't know how Disney would react. Here I am, a gay man, and I'm working on a movie for kids, and I didn't want to be fired." As Disney found out, they instead did everything they could to allow him to continue to work on Beauty and the Beast, even packing up their storyboards and going to his home in New York. Howard later died in 1991 with a long list of accomplishments behind him. Number 2. Memorial photos. These photos look like any other historical portrait. An important fact to note about taking pictures in the olden days was that it took a long time. Like a really long time. I'm talking hours. There was definitely no quick selfie taking back then. Because of this, it was common for the subjects in photos to appear a bit blurry, because you can't expect people to be able to keep perfectly still. But if you look closely at those photos, you'll probably notice that some of the subjects are incredibly clear. Were they just masters of staying still? Well, you could say that since some of the people in these photos aren't alive. And I don't just mean because it's been so long that they've passed away by now, I mean they aren't alive in the photos. Doing this was actually incredibly common back then and seen as a way to memorialize your loved ones and help lessen grief. It is commonly referred to as post-mortem photography, and the people in the photos were often propped up on stands in order to be held in place. Number 1. Jeannie. This may look like the portrait of a normal little girl, but the truth of her story is the exact opposite of normal. Jeannie Wiley is well known as one of the most popular examples of a feral child, and this is a photo of her. She had been kept tied to a chair for the majority of her childhood, not allowed to speak or cry, her father having often barked and growled at her like a dog. She became an important look into how the minds of children are shaped and how important it is to learn from a young age. While she learned some words, it seems that she never fully learned how to speak properly. Although she couldn't speak, she seemed to be learning quickly, and she actually performed well on intelligence tests. She learned to draw, dress herself, and enjoy music. While she was incredibly popular and widely discussed, no one knows exactly where she is now. She's apparently in an adult foster care home somewhere in California, now over 60 years old.
Number 10, we have this picture right here. At first glance, it seems to be like a normal picture of someone's living room, but in the background you can see, it's a very nice day out, the curtains open, letting in all the natural light. So far I'm not seeing it. Oh, hold on. Okay, whoa, do you guys see that? What the heck is that? Look at the bottom left of your screens right now. There is someone's face just staring at the camera. They're staring right into your souls. If this picture is real, holy crap, it is time to sell that house. Alright, number 9, let's see what we have here. So we have this woman who's taking a selfie in the woods. I guess it looks like a pretty good, scenic background, so it seems like a pretty good idea, right? Maybe she will post this on Instagram and get all those likes on it. Okay, wait a minute. Is that Slenderman in the background? Let's zoom in a little bit. Okay, whoa. I'm not sure if my eyes are playing tricks on me, but this looks like Slenderman is stalking this woman. Okay, before we get even more scared, I'm sorry for that if you guys did get scared with that jump scare. Maybe in at number 8, it's not so bad. Okay, maybe it is bad. This is a picture of a surfer, and if you can see hidden into the background, I've actually circled it for you guys, but that's a shark who is ready for dinner. Imagine seeing this while you're surfing. It would freak me out so much, I would probably wipe out and become the shark's lunch. Alright, number 7, maybe this is a lucky one, and it's not so scary because these other ones are just crazy. Okay, so we have this pretty attractive woman who's posing for this picture. I'm sure a lot of people are thinking that, she's a keeper. Well, actually, someone is probably thinking the exact same thing, and well, that's the person on the top right of this picture. Did you guys even notice him? Why does it look like a baby floating head in the doorway? This is beyond creepy, and this one for sure needs an explanation. Number 6, we have another scary picture. Here's another girl who just wanted to be alone and take pictures, but little did she know she wasn't alone on this night. This is the Grudge in the background. Oh my god, is this real life right now? That totally freaked me out. Let me know if I scared you guys in the comment section below. Put hashtag I'm freaked out. Moving on, we have this picture right here that is scary for a few different reasons, and this comes into our list in at number 5. Just take a look at this picture for a moment and see if you can see what is wrong with this picture. It might be hard to spot at first. And no, there's no Grudge or Slenderman in this picture in the background anywhere. Okay, do you guys give up? Okay, let me help you guys out. Take a look at the girl's legs. Let me circle it. Her legs are bending the wrong way. I think she is the Grudge. Maybe she's the girl in the other picture trolling other people. How is this even possible? She has no knees. Super freaky. Number 4, we have something kind of similar. Take a look at this picture right here. This is a picture of a magazine. On this page, a company is promoting sweaters. You can see it looks like a happy family, right? Well, we have on the left to right, we have a son who is smiling, a mother who is laughing hysterically, and then you can see the dad and then the sister. But then wait a minute, let's go back to the father. Let me circle his hand right here, and then circle his left hand right over here. If these two are his hands, whose hands is this? Holy crap, this hand belongs to nobody. There might be someone else behind the woman. This is beyond creepy. Whatever this company is selling, I'm not buying. Number 3 is a very similar picture to that one. Okay, so maybe the last picture might have been like a Photoshop error because the editors of the picture wanted it to look flawless, but they kind of forgot to remove that creepy hand. But this next picture, there's no reason for it to be Photoshopped. We're looking at a happy family with a mom, a dad, and 3 kids, and let's not forget the very cute dog. But if you guys look at the second smallest kid, you can see that there's an extra arm on her shoulder. Let me zoom in and show you guys what I'm talking about. This arm right here, who does it belong to? It's not the scissors beside her, because here are her 2 arms, and the mother is holding the baby, and the dog's arm couldn't be that long. Maybe we don't want to figure this out, so let's just move on into number 2. Let's see what we got going on. Okay, so we have the world's strongest kid. Okay, maybe not. Maybe we have the world's funniest kid. What do you guys think? Well, someone who thinks that he's very funny is the guy in the background who is smiling. Do you guys see him? Just look carefully. When you see him, you're probably gonna freak out. What is it with these weird things hidden in the background of pictures? This guy is behind the little kid's chair and he looks to be inside the like a chimney or something. I don't really know. Or maybe it's just a painting in the background with the creepy guy on it and it was just strangely placed. Finally, we've made it to the number 1 spot. We have this picture right here. This is a girl who was taking a selfie and she might not know it, but she also got a picture with the creeper behind her. I would stop smiling and run out of the car right now because I think there's gonna be like a kidnapping or you're about to get killed. This just freaks me out because I looked at this picture. Now every time I get into my car, I'm gonna be checking the back seat because you never know who's back there.
Starting off this list, in our number 10 spot, we have muscle tissue. Muscle tissue are the soft tissues that make up different types of muscles in most animals. It is composed of cells that have the ability to shorten or contract, which is what then produces the movement of body parts. The tissue is very cellular and is well supplied with blood vessels, and it basically is just an essential part of our lives and our bodies. When viewed under a microscope, however, the tissue looks even more unsettling than I would have ever imagined. This photo wasn't taken under just any old microscope and of course required sophisticated equipment, but it truly is an incredible capture. Just one fascinating part of the human body. In our number 9 spot today, we have a fruit fly eye. I guess the eye of a fruit fly isn't like the most normal everyday object, but like it's certainly not unusual. I mean, how many fruit fly eyes are out there right now? Anyway, no one is arguing with me, I just got defensive for no reason. Under a microscope, a fruit fly's eye looks so strange. Not only is the eye like segmented into these little hexagon shapes, but there's also these weird things poking out of them. I don't know, it looks weird and I don't like it. The good news though is that fruit flies are so teeny tiny I've never really seen one of their eyes before. I'm definitely not looking that close at them, so maybe this is one image I'll one day be able to erase from my mind. Besides grossing me out, it is kind of cool. Basically those things that are pointing out are clusters of light sensitive cells organized into rods. When light strikes one, a series of chemical reactions begins, and this is the beginning of the process of how they see things. There are actually kinds of fruit flies that apparently have some of the most advanced eyes among insects, so that's also pretty cool for fruit flies. In our number 8 spot today, we have chalk. The White Cliffs of Dover is the region of English coastline that is facing the Strait of Dover and France. The cliff face reaches over 350 feet tall, and part of what makes this region so beautiful to look at is the fact that the cliffs are made from chalk and they have these beautiful streaks of black flint throughout them that was deposited during the late Cretaceous period. So, here's the super cool thing. This chalk that makes up the cliffs, when put under a microscope, it looks like this. This might be surprising to you, and that is because it isn't just a regular old rock. This chalk is an accumulation of ancient skeletons. I'm not even joking. The chalk is made up of what is left of the single-celled ocean-dwelling plankton. The flint throughout is composed of the remnants of sea sponges and siliceous planktonic microorganisms that hardened into the microscopic quartz crystals. I swear, if I were you, I'd think I was making it up, but this is what gives the cliffs such a beautiful appearance to the naked eye, and an even more exceptional one under a powerful microscope. The history of the Earth is so important, and it really has shaped the environment and geological features that we see today. In our number 7 spot today, we have a zebrafish. There's just some things you assume you'll never see under a microscope, and the larva of the zebrafish is definitely one of those things. Well, I guess it's actually something I've just never thought about at all, because why would I? Zebrafish are freshwater fish that belong to the minnow family. They are native to South Asia, and they are actually a pretty popular aquarium fish. They are widely used in scientific research because of the fact that they have regenerative abilities, and they are also often used as a model organism in research. That all being said, this is what their 2-day-old larvae look like under a microscope. They're like little ghost fishes. Part of me thinks they're so cute, and part of me is absolutely terrified. Kind of like a cursed seahorse or something. I don't know, I just feel like this is something we were never supposed to see. In our number 6 spot today we have a cat tongue. You know the old saying, cat got your tongue? Well, it turns out the cat has all the tongues. It is well known that cats have a rough tongue as it is filled with little spines that are curved and hollow. These little spines give the creature the ability to transfer large amounts of saliva to their fur, which not only helps to clean them more efficiently, but it also helps to keep them nice and cool. It's like a smart comb that they just have built in. So, using this knowledge, it makes sense as to why, under a microscope, a cat's tongue looks like this. I said it makes sense, not that it isn't kind of a strange sight. It literally looks like a cat's tongue is made up of many more smaller tongues. I don't like it, but I can admit that it's kinda cool. In our number 5 spot today we have a human tongue. Speaking of a cat's tongue, we also have one of those things. Ours of course isn't made to be a super cool, super smart comb, it's just the thing that sits in our mouth. It helps us eat, speak, and differentiate between tastes and flavors. It's super important to us, but looking at it under a microscope kind of makes me want to rip it out. Not actually, but you get what I mean. Under a microscope our tongues look kind of similar to that of a cat's, but I don't know how to explain this any better other than more like cottony looking? I know, that was gross, but this photo just makes it so clear that the tongue is made up of muscle and the nodules of tissue look way more tissue-like than we even realize when we look at our tongues. It's both fascinating and kind of unnerving, to be honest. In our number 4 spot today we have a pillow. Pillows! The things we rest our weary heads on every night together 8 hours. Who am I kidding? Most of us are getting what? 4 hours? Regardless of whoever sleeps the most or the least, our pillows all are going to be looking a little similar. The pillow seems so inviting, so warm, so cozy. It's a safe place, right? Wrong. You get up close to that thing, view it under a microscope, and you reveal all the other things that also like to rest their little heads on it. Under a microscope, the common house dust mites that lurk on many of our pillows become alarmingly visible, and as we speak, there's probably more than you'd like to know living in yours. These guys love to live on your pillow because their favorite food is your dead skin cells. Yeah, it's disgusting. I'd appreciate it if they could at least do something to alleviate nightmares, but no. They just are the nightmare. In our number 3 spot today we have eyelashes. Speaking of little mites in places near your face, we see a lot of eyelashes in our day-to-day life. They help keep our eyes clean, and the stray ones give us wishes, and they seem like harmless little easygoing hairs. Right? Well, it turns out when we get a little closer, our eyelashes are the home to a disgusting little secret. The lashes aren't really the problem, the more concerning thing is the creatures that call them home. These creatures, called demodex, are mites that live on everyone's eyelashes. They, like the pillow bugs, feed off of dead skin cells as well as the oil that collects in the follicles. Okay, are you ready for the worst part? I know, it's crazy we aren't past it yet, but here we go. At nighttime, while you're sleeping, these guys come out of your eyelashes and then they head to other regions of your face, and this is where they mate. They then return to your lash follicles to lay up to 25 eggs. Yeah, I hate it. I've said that a lot on this list today, but I hate this one the most for sure, hands down, no contest. In our number 2 spot today we have vent worms. Hydrothermal vents live on the ocean floor and they are the result of tectonic activity. Through this tectonic activity, as seawater seeps downward through the oceanic crust, it gets really hot and becomes very rich in chemicals. This leads to the water becoming so buoyant that it comes back out of the surface of the sea floor, and this is what is called a hydrothermal vent. The water coming out of the vent is that same super hot, super chemically rich water, and it is an extremely important part of underwater ecosystems. The water from the vent is highly acidic and hot, while the water in the depths of the ocean is slightly basic and freezing. There are many different smaller species who come to the vent areas because of the chemicals in the water as well as the heat, which helps certain types of food sources grow, which they then want to consume. One of these creatures is aptly named the vent worm. These guys are super tiny and can't really be seen with the naked eye, and we should all consider ourselves lucky for that because this is what they look like under a microscope. Like, what in the absolute heck is that? Those teeth alone are forever etched into my mind, so don't even get me started on literally anything else. The good news here is that frightening, gross mouth in reality is less than a millimeter wide, so if I wasn't here talking about it, it is likely that none of us would have ever known this information. Just for a second though, imagine if that thing was like the size of a big snake. Or if it was like huge and Godzilla sized. I smell a horror movie coming up. The Apocalypse, the return of the supergiant vent worm. I don't know, those things are disgusting. In our number 1 spot today we have plaque. Okay, we're back looking at the human mouth, but this time we're taking it over to the bones that sit in our mouths. Of course, I'm talking about teeth. More specifically, the plaque that grows on them. I know, we want to pretend like it doesn't, but it's just the way it is. It's of course the reason why we gotta brush them every day. Keep them pearly whites sparkling clean. It is likely that at some point your dentist has explained to you that plaque is filled with tons of bacteria, and we like to not listen to dentists, but it turns out that they're right a lot of the time. Like, even about flossing. I know, I don't want to hear it either, but sometimes we gotta face the music. Anyway, back to the plaque. When we look at the plaque under a microscope, we can see just how right the dentists are. Plaque is full of bacteria. Like, it is 100% made up of bacteria and quote bacterial products, which I get the impression is just like bacteria poop. If you don't brush your teeth, it just builds and builds, and it doesn't take that long at all. Just a cool 8 hours is more than enough to feel like your teeth need a nice little cleaning. I feel like I need to go brush my teeth now.
Okay, at number 10, I'm looking at it in the monitor here. What? What is this? How is this guy wearing a mask? I'm very confused right now. It looks elastic, but I don't know how he got it on his head. And I know I should be focusing on the weird figure in the back in like the 17th century clothes who looks 100% ghost-like, but I'm too focused on this guy's face to even be scared by what the hell's happening in the background. Okay, apparently he cut open a bouncy rubber ball and covered his face with it, which I don't even understand how he did, but props to him first of all, I'm impressed. Secondly, now we can talk about the ghost in the back. Okay, if I was a ghost and I came back from the dead and saw this human I was haunting pulling this kind of crap, I'd be like, no, send me back to the grave. I did not sign up for this. Okay, at number 9, we have this girl doing her makeup in the mirror. This is a very 2007-esque picture, I feel, and it seems pretty normal. I can't really see anything. Scanning. Let's see what I can find. Oh, okay, in the mirror. Okay, so the girl is doing her makeup, and there's a very faint face in the mirror. It's not really a face, it's more like a demon ghost sort of thing, and it's very freaky that this is in her room. Is it her room? Is it someone else's room where this figure is haunting this room? I'm very confused. But the ghost looks absolutely fuming, like, how dare you use a shade of blush? Do you have any idea what you're doing? Like, I don't know why this thing is angry, but I feel very sorry for the girl because she's just innocently just there doing her makeup, really, getting haunted. Okay, at number 8 is this portrait of this Asian woman. I think it's just a picture of her. Okay, seemingly this picture looks fine, but it's actually not because I just saw her feet. Wow, okay, at first glance, I was like, there's a mirror behind her. Usually with these pictures, the reflection would be like her own face looking back at her or something like that. And I just thought the freaky thing would be in the mirror, but it's actually her feet. And I know in like some Asian cultures, it's like aesthetically nice looking to have really small feet, and then like they do feet binding as well. But I just assumed your feet would just stay really small. I didn't know they would actually change shape like that. I mean, like, how are her toes even folded over like that? And like her big toe kind of just looks like a cone. Like, how does she wear shoes? That's what I really want to know. But also that must be really painful, so I really do feel for her. I'm sorry that I had to use her as an example. Okay, at number 7 now we have a woman posing with her dog, and the dog really just doesn't look like it wants to be in the photo at all. The woman's so happy posing. The dog's like, no, human, I just don't want to be here. Do you not understand? And I mean, is that the freaky thing, like the dog's eyes? I'm confused. Okay. So there's a figure behind the glass section of her front door. There's just like someone on her front porch just there. Why do these figures always look like they're people from a different century? Like, they never look like modern people just haunting you and lurking around. It's always people from like 40 decades ago. Like, I don't understand. That's probably why the dog looks like he's just at himself, because he probably sees and senses and feels the ghost. I've never had a dog, but apparently when they bark at nothing continuously, they're actually barking at like spirits or ghosts. Is that true? Let me know. I've only ever had cats and they don't do that. Okay, at number 6, we have this girl sitting in her dorm room, it seems. And I want to say dorm room because this sort of looks like the bed I had in my dorm, but it could be her house. I mean, who knows? I mean, this seems pretty wholesome. I don't know what I'm meant to be looking at here, but I feel like I say that every time and then I'm like, oh, okay. Okay, so I'm scanning. Okay, so there's this guy's face wedged in the corner of her bed, like just under her mattress, and his face is just poking out. If that was me and I saw this photo afterwards, I would move directly out of that room, out of that house, do not pass go, do not collect 200, and just never look back. Of course, this is photoshopped, but I mean, I hope. Fingers crossed it's Photoshop, but that's just so creepy. Okay, at number 5, we have a girl taking a selfie. Okay, what is happening on the back window here? I feel bad. The selfie is actually pretty nice, but how did that guy even get there? I mean, why is he there? I have a lot of questions. He also looks like a demon, but he could also equally just look like he just fallen onto the window, or maybe he chose to jump onto it. I don't really know, but I'm surprised the girl didn't notice mid-picture. I mean, it looks like she was taking a selfie, so in a selfie, she should have definitely seen the person behind her, but maybe she was doing it old school and just like turning the phone around. Who knows? But either way, she probably straight up screamed after checking the photos. Definitely not Instagram worthy. Okay, at number 4, we have a really old school photo of some kind of group of girls. Maybe it's actually a school photo. I actually don't know. Literally nothing seems out of the ordinary at first glance, and it actually took me a very long time to figure out what was wrong with this picture. I know now. My eyes have been opened. It's actually this random hand on the girl's shoulder, the girl on the far right. I thought the hand was from the girl behind her. Her arms are actually crossed, so it's obviously not her hands. And then I just realized the girl with a hand on her shoulder just is not even looking at the camera. She's looking elsewhere, on another vibe, on another level, with her decapitated hand ghost friend just not caring about what the hell is going on. Power to you, but also your ghost friends are creepy. Okay, at number 3 now, we have this picture that was apparently captured on a hospital CCTV camera. And the woman in the picture apparently died the same day this photo was taken, but I actually just don't see a woman on the bed. I mean, we have the massive dark figure on the bed. I mean, look at her limbs. Gender unknown, species unknown. It has like a massive bum that goes into its long legs. The feet don't even look like feet. They look like claw, hand, I don't know. I just don't know what to make of this. And the worst part is, it doesn't even look photoshopped. That's the scary part. Maybe it's her spirit that's finally just released into the ether, and that's what her spirit was. At number 2, we have a picture from someone's visitor camera outside their house. And this freaked me the hell out. I mean, what is up with this guy's eyes? I've actually seen this one before, and apparently this is 100% real. So the guy who owns the house was basically asleep, but he kept getting notifications on his phone that the doorbell was detecting a visitor, and he sees the footage the next day and sees this dude. Just imagine, you're sleeping in your house, safe and sound. No. You need to set the scene, have some creepy music in the background. You're sleeping. You have this guy wandering around your door at God knows what hour of the night, probably crazy, probably could kill you, and you find this the next day. I'm shook. Last but not least, at number 1, we have this very old family photo. I say old because look at the women's hairstyles. That's very circa, I don't know, World War II. But how is this full-on man hanging from the ceiling? He's so clearly there. How did they not notice him during the picture? And I'm sorry, even if he did magically fall from the ceiling at the exact moment this photo was taken, I have 2 questions. 1, if he did fall, how did none of them see his body or anything up there beforehand? And 2, if he fell during the photo, how did the camera not capture their reactions? Like, I would have cried. I don't want to say it's a ghost because the man's body looks so 3D and real, and like, I feel like I could grab the man's belly, but it just doesn't look like an apparition. I feel like it's not Photoshop, I don't know what to believe, and I have no idea what is happening. Just like the case with all 10 photos.
In at number 10, we have this image right here. It's of 2 girls who look super excited about life. Well, nothing seems to be scary when you first glance at the image. But when you look over the woman's shoulder on the right of the picture, you can see this really creepy person glancing right into our souls. This guy did his best trolling in this image. I bet you these girls didn't even realize that this guy is in the picture until much later. They probably posted on social media, and then other people are like, oh my god, do you see that guy in your picture? And it kind of seems like this guy does this often because it was so perfectly timed. Like, it's just this one eye glancing right into your soul. Well, what is scarier than that? Let's move right along into number 9. I think this woman should try to save her baby from the darkness evil that is right behind him. The woman looks super upset, as if she was like trying for so long to try to save her little boy from this evil, but it keeps coming back. Or maybe the reason why she's looking so serious is because she's the one that summoned this thing to take her child away. I would be calling Seam and Dean Winchester from the hit TV show Supernatural, because you know what? They're the only ones that know what to do in this situation. Okay, so when you look at this picture again and really analyze it, it actually turns out to, it actually wasn't a scary picture after all. What it is outside the door there's a woman sitting down with her back away from the door, and I don't know if that's her like reflection, but she looks like she's a ghost or something. At number 8, we have this girl right here. I know what you guys are thinking.
Oh my god, Landon, there's nothing scary about this girl. She's absolutely gorgeous.
Well, if you guys look beyond the beautifulness and behind her, you guys can see that there's a mirror in the bottom left of this picture, and in the mirror is a very, very scary creature. It for sure doesn't look human, no idea what it is. I would probably get rid of that mirror as soon as possible and hope that the next day it doesn't, reappear in that exact same spot. Because if that's the case, you sell the house. Okay, here's picture number 7. Lucky 7 for some, others not so lucky. For this picture, not lucky. Okay, so this picture you're looking at right now is scary on many different levels, especially of what's going on in the world lately. This picture, you can see all these people posing with their musical instruments. You can see a lot of people have keyboards, there's a few guitars there. Well, is this real life right now? Because the guy laying in the very front, I don't know if you guys even noticed, he's posing with a gun in his hand, and no one else can see it but I guess the camera guy. I'm not sure what is about to happen. Is this guy getting ready to open fire on everybody there? Because recently we've had the attacks, in Paris where 137 victims lost their lives, 316 people were injured, and 38 deaths, and the Brussels attacks that happened very recently. And I don't know if you guys remember this guy right here, James Holmes, who went crazy and decided to open fire inside of a theater. I really hope we don't hear this guy in the news and he just killed all these people. I'm not really sure what he was thinking. Alright, let's move into number 6. We have this girl who I guess is trying, her best sexy pose. And it's almost like she's wearing no shirt. Well, although she tries to look great in this picture, she's actually scaring people. If you guys look into the background, I'll circle it right over here, you guys can see a hidden face inside of the cabinet. Someone is being a peeping Tom or something. What is going on? Let me zoom right into this picture because I know it's very hard to see at first, but you can see this big nosed creature that's checking out this girl. And I'm sure as soon as this girl realized that, there was scariness in her background and scaring all these guys away, she probably took this picture down from her dating website profile. Number 5, here's a picture with these 3 girls who's taking a picture from a very high angle. Trying to make themselves look the best that they can be. And this for sure is a trick for taking pictures. If you guys angle it, the higher you go, the skinnier you appear. So this is why a lot of people like this high angles. Well, despite their best intention for this picture to turn out great, it actually turns out to be a very scary picture. Look between the 2 girls on the left. And between them, under the girl's chin, you can see a very scary face who also wanted to get in on this picture. And the face knew exactly where the camera was. She's looking right at it. I mean, how terrorizing is this? And what's up with all these hidden faces in pictures? So I guess let's continue this trend because we have another very scary face hidden inside of a picture, and this next image is at number 4. Take a look at this. There's a lot of people in this picture, but the 3 main ones are these 3 people. There's one guy, there's 2 girls. And I'm gonna assume that there's 2 cameras taking pictures at the same time because only the guy is looking at the camera for this moment. Well, actually, I should say there's one more person that looked at this camera at the right moment. Looking between the 2 girls, you can see this really scary devil girl who looks like she's covered in blood. Before she possesses us, let's move into number 3 very, very quickly. That could be like Carrie in the background, from that movie. In this picture right here, in at number 3, this girl seems, super happy. And she kind of angled this picture for us to see the back of her car window. So I'm looking at this picture and I'm glancing at it. I'm like, okay, what's going on? What's back there? Oh my god, look at this! There's this freaking scary creature demon thing that is trying to break into her car. I would be putting the camera down and running as fast as I can. But this girl, for some reason, I don't know, is this her everyday life? She just, oh, another creature, she's smiling and let's post this on Instagram. I would be vlogging this thing because, I mean, that is a lot of views right there. There's a demon breaking into your car. But at the end of the day, I would be screaming and probably crying because I would be so terrified. What else is scary is this next picture in at number 2. Here's a class picture with a lot of young students and their teacher. I know I love looking at old pictures, especially at that age in school. You can remember who your friends were and your teachers. Well, their identities seem to be protected in this picture. Well, everyone's identity except for the freaking ghost boy's identity who appears to be in the window of this picture. And I'm not sure if this school had a recent death, but this kid wanted to get in on these memories so he can remember this for the rest of his life. Okay, so finally we've all made it into number 1. You can see these 4 people who are the best of friends building a pyramid. The 4th person on the right isn't actually alive. He's not actually there. What's going on? When I first looked at this picture, I thought there was 4 people, but what's scary is that the 4th person is actually a ghost boy who is still haunting this house and trolling pictures. So I don't know if this picture is real or if it was altered in Photoshop. If it was, this person did a great job. But if this picture is real, holy crap. It's this little boy just staring at these 3 people as if, he wants to join in on the fun. So I don't know if to be terrified or if to feel bad because he just wants to have fun.